Hello everyone and welcome back to the Sounds of Stadia Podcast, the only Stadia podcast in the world, most likely at this point in time. It's also the longest running, episode 160. You're joining us for a great show, and unfortunately the last episode of this very podcast, of course. We've done as much as we possibly can, we've supported it, but the time is now to sunset it. Before Stadia, let's face it, we want to get in ahead of the actual platform. You're joining myself, Chris, alongside the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie. Welcome back for the last time.
That's it. I know, it's kind of a sad day, but we kind of wanted to go out on our own terms, so we decided this is the end.
Absolutely. We wanted to keep the show going a little bit longer, knowing that there would be some fallout and there would be some news, and we mentioned at last week's show that ironically Stadia has had more articles in the gaming industry than it has over the last 3 years, when it probably needed them more. All over the place. We're going to be breaking that down because we do have a great show lined up. We're going to be talking about some new cloud gaming tech that's coming out that could have embraced Stadia and took it to new heights. We've got game updates. Some games are being left stranded on the Stadia island as it was. Some more begrudged developers who, of course, were short-sighted by the closure. We're going to be telling you about their stories, transferring save files, and a couple of more pieces of news, like a Google Stadium, which is, again, just like kick it while it's down, man. We'll break it in. Get into all that, but before we do, don't forget to give the video a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're kept in the loop with all of the wonderful content we do here, aside from the Sounds of Stadia podcast. That's right, we are soon to be launching a Xbox xCloud focused podcast, the XPass Podcast, hosted by the man of many pixels, coming soon. Once our intro is sorted, we're just waiting on it. We're just fine-tuning it before we want to put it out there into the wild.
A couple of weeks and we're hoping to drop our first episode.
Yeah, exactly. We've also got, of course, our PlayStation podcast, Talking the PS, where myself, Richie, and Rob round up all of the PlayStation news. Exact same format as this show. So you know what? If you've jumped ship now, you've gone from Stadia onto other platforms, we've still got plenty of content on the channel just for you. Just like this very last Thursday, we played Grounded, the Xbox first-party exclusive, included in Game Pass for the first time using the power of Xbox Cloud Gaming. We had an absolute phenomenal time with you, the wonderful community out there. We built a little grass fortress, Richie. We fought off some spiders, and for our first ever Xbox live stream, I had a great time with it. 3 odd hours we went into it.
I actually played some more myself yesterday. It was a great way to spend a hangover, put it that way. But because it's quite zen, quite relaxing, and you should see the fortress I'm building. It's awesome.
A little grassroots fortress. You love to see it.
Well, you know where the analyzer thing is. Mm-hmm. I've kind of built it up into the cliffside.
Okay, so you're doing a minute.
So I've got steps. I've got like steps I can go down to there, but like main part of my base is going to be on top.
See, I love it. Very creative. Yes, a great way to spend a hangover. Apologies if we both sound a little bit rough. We were at a beer festival 2 days ago, and we're still kind of recovering from it. Had to shout over the music, and of course, many drinks consumed. So yeah, we're recording a little bit later this week. Few too many. But it was all good. We had a great time celebrating. And here we are to talk about video games. So thank you for everyone who's tuned in. And a massive shout out to our Helix heroes, of course, you wonderful folks who support us that little bit further in bringing you better quality content by clicking join down below. From as little as 99p, you get early access to some of our shows, you get stickers, badges, and other exclusive perks, like voting on new shows. We literally went all in on Xbox because that's what you voted for, so thank you for that. Yeah. New Helix hero joined us this week, Richie. Chris Scott joined on the bronze tier. Thank you, Chris. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for your patronage and support. It's very much appreciated. And of course, anyone out there who requested their Helix Hero stickers, they were in the post. Put them in the post this week for the first round of addresses that I managed to gather up. So you should be expecting them. The lady did tell me when I posted them, Royal Mail strikes may delay them.
Yeah.
But also, I've never posted a letter in that long. I was kind of just like, all right, I'll just take your word for it. I don't know if it takes a day, a week, nowadays. Just like, have at it. There's the stamp. Send it off, please. So, yeah. Send us your photos once you've received them. Stick them on something and let us see. Just don't put them on children. Richie, great show lined up. Breaking it down, like I said, we've got plenty of news stories in the bag. We've got a live stream coming up this week. We're going to go away and record a special episode of CloudQuest as well. That is also going to be Xbox focused.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about this week?
It's almost this week because we're new to Xbox. So what we're going to do is we're going to start digging into the Game Pass library and start looking at games that we might want to play going forward on streams or just in general. Because we've both been keeping an eye on Game Pass for a while, but we've never sat down and went, what is the full library looking like? Because it's huge.
Yeah,
So,
it's that Netflix problem of where the hell do you even start to commit to things. This week I'm going to be playing Plague Tale Requiem. So that comes out 2 days' time from today. So that's my kind of big focus game before God of War Ragnarok hits.
Yeah, did you have that pre-ordered on PlayStation? Because that's on Game Pass.
Yeah, totally included. So which is crazy. Money saved. That's like 5 months of Game Pass for the price of one game. And we'll talk about that over on the XPass podcast. We'll get carried away. Over here, we live and breathe Stadia Pro, which weirdly enough, as we creep towards the kind of the back end of October, what do we think's going to happen with Stadia Pro? Like they've said, nobody has to pay for it now. But does that mean there's any games coming? Because surely developers had deals in place to put games on the deal. Or is literally just October's games all we get now through till January?
I'd imagine that like the certification services that they've running for Stadia, they've just killed them. They've killed the storefront, so we can't claim games.
Well, we could claim the games this month. Remember, we got Hot Wheels as long as you had the link.
Yeah, it was a bit of a workaround though, so I'm not expecting any new games to come to the platform at all. To be honest.
Could you imagine?
So.
If pro games for like November, December, and like whatever is left of January end up being like AAA, all the stuff they had in the pipeline they've just pushed out, and it's like, oh, here we go, guys. Here's the entire Arkham trilogy. Here's all your Mafia games, and everything in between.
I know I've seen a few people just say, why don't you just make the entire library open to players? But I think that's one where a lot of publishers can go, what, you're giving our game away for free? You can't do that. So there's probably one of them, there's more moving parts to that than...
In a dream world, it would be great to just see them go like, well, look, you can't buy them, so the devs can't get any money from it anyway. So if we make it free, at least do it's like a free trial, like time cap everything maybe. So if you don't own the game, you can play, just make everything a free trial basically for 2 hours. And then if you like it, here's a discount code to get it on Steam or something like that.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of publishers that look at it and go, you're giving our games away for free. That means people aren't going to buy them elsewhere in this time. So it's probably a legal minefield.
Oh, yeah, it would never happen.
Nope,
it would never happen.
Don't know any of that.
Just like we still kind of have to wait on an update on like the controller situation. They said, we know we covered it last week, they'll be working on it, but I can see that one just quietly going away. Like, are we really realistically going to see any other further statement? Other than just on the 18th, it will close and the Twitter account will just go dead silent and like it'll just fizzle out.
I'm not. Apart from the refunds and like customer support, I'm not really expecting anything from them now.
Okay, so what do you think is going to happen on their birthday this year? The awkward 3rd year anniversary of Stadia that's going to be next month, like almost a month to the day.
Well, they basically ignored its existence last year as well.
No, they changed their Twitter banner for like 6 months into March.
I can't really see that many people who were left on the Stadia team being that motivated to like celebrate it. To be honest,
there's nothing to celebrate, is there?
It's like I'd imagine most people who are still working on Stadia now are probably looking for new jobs.
Oh, absolutely. They've been doing it for like over a week and a half now. But either way, as I said, plenty of stories to get into with the actual thickness of the show. Some games and such moving on, some save file updates for you guys out there if you're still playing, and some hopes and dreams dashed along the way. Richie, introduce us to the
super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka
the news.
The news.
That's the last time you're going to say that.
The super sexy special Stadia story segment.
The news. Of course, the news lives on in our other shows.
Yeah.
We've got the properly prepared PlayStation perusing points.
Well done. You wrote it, so...
The news, but I didn't have it in front of me. And, of course, we've got whatever we're concocting up for Xbox and the XPass podcast. CloudQuest doesn't have one, but I guess that's kind of like...
No, it's not a news show, so...
Well, that's true, yeah. There's no news to cover in a topical show. We'll get it in there one day. So starting off with the big story of the week. It's not really a big story. I just wanted to get it in there. We've got less than 100 days until Stadia's gone. 95 days at the time of recording on Sunday the 16th of October. In lead is keeping us up to track with his kind of dates to demise, dates to death tracker over on Twitter. And I just kind of wanted to check in, Richie. I've been beating this drum for quite some time. Do we see Mafia before Stadia dies, or is this just one of those things where I'll keep the countdown going past Stadia's death? And yeah, I don't know. At this time of recording, Mafia Definitive Edition was teased and promised 886 days ago. It was released on consoles 25th of September 2020, which was 751 days ago. Stadia and Hangar 13 and 2K have 95 days remaining to get this promised game out on the platform. Is this just a fool's errand at this point, if it wasn't already a fool's errand for the last 2.5 years?
Yeah, I think it's been clear for a while that it's not coming to Stadia. I'd love to know the reasons why, because we've heard about games just getting kind of lost in certification, where like it's in certification and then like the devs are waiting on like Google to do something, Google waiting on the devs, and just seems like a bit of breakdown in communication. I wonder if this is one of them cases where the game's just like, it's not past the certification, the devs are waiting on Google to give like the feedback through, and then they've moved on to other stuff, and maybe no one in the team was that motivated to put the work in to get it on Stadia, when they'll try to be focused on the next Mafia game that's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, that one's still a while out. This wasn't really a big story. I just thought I'd put it in there just before.
Yeah.
I meant to bring it up, I think, when we learned about the closure as a joke point. And then, actually, it's actually relevant because there's two titles, arguably AAA titles, that they're still not coming, and they've got less than 3 months to do it now. And I think it's probably safe to assume that we're never going to see Mafia. It was never long for this world. But
it'd be hilarious if it did launch, but because the storefront's gone, you can't buy it.
Buy it. Yeah, well, Mafia 3 launched into Pro, didn't it? Last October, and they made out like that was a big deal. Like, you've been asking for it. It's like, yeah, because you told us it was coming. And then this kind of just unravels one of the many strings that kind of came to Stadia's downfall, is that they were never clear with us at all. Like, they teased the game on Twitter. The game came out on other platforms, and here we are still 2 and a bit years later, and they've never communicated with us, not the developers, not Stadia, once, that it's still coming, it's in the works, we've got a time frame for it. Like, this has gone beyond ridiculous. And then again, that just kind of that just shows you how bad they were at managing certain aspects of the industry.
Yeah, kind of. Is this the sort of thing where, like, you go back to Phil Harrison's statement saying, "Oh, there wasn't enough uptake from gamers," like, but you didn't give gamers a reason to take you as a serious platform.
Absolutely,
you didn't give enough reasons. You kept your cards close to your chest. You didn't tell people what was coming. A lot of things that people might have expected should have been coming to a AAA platform didn't come, and then games that were announced took forever to come at times, or just hasn't. In the case of Mafia, it's like this is on you. Like, really, it's not on. You can't complain to your customers saying, "Oh, no one bought it," when you didn't give them reasons to buy it.
Yeah, like literally every other company in the world does like pre-orders for the most part on physical items, digital items, to gauge interest and start getting that sales receipt locked in before the product's even out. And as ridiculous as it is on cloud gaming, because you just get it instantly, it still is the point of you gauging numbers with your audience. And we've said from day one, like, we beat the drum on a roadmap so many times in the early days, saying we're like a year in now, I want to see what next year has in store, because the entire rest of the industry were doing events where they literally come out on stage and say, here's what we're doing, here's a teaser, here's a trailer, here's a roadmap. And we had some people say to us, oh, well, it's up to the devs to do it. It's like, but the devs aren't doing it either. Hangar 13 hadn't tweeted out for like a year and a half, and then they don't even acknowledge it. So
the reality is the devs don't care what platform you play their game on, as long as you play their game. That's the thing they're interested in. So you can't leave it up to the devs to sell the virtues of your platform.
Yeah, and the devs aren't a marketing
That's
team.
your job.
Like, the devs have their own. They're making the game. Like, yes, the companies will have a marketing team, but as the platform, why do you think all the adverts you see at the cinema and on TV and on your YouTube ads, they end with a stinger for PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo? That's because they pay money to market their product in line with that offering. So the big PlayStation, and the stuff comes up, or the big Xbox noise you get, or from the Switch, they're in there for these third-party games to show that it's coming to their platform. Google did none of that for 3 years practically. And
well, the thing is, that's a very simple splash screen with a very iconic noise. Even if the TV's on and an advert comes on, you're washing the dishes or something, you're hearing, that game that they've been talking about is coming to this platform. Mm-hmm. It's iconic. Stadia had the splash screen.
Yeah.
They just didn't use it.
Didn't use it at all. Again, ironically enough, this week, driving through town, I was seeing adverts for the Google Pixel 7 everywhere. Seen it on YouTube, seen it on bus stops, billboards. Not a thing.
And the Pixel Watch. Look, there's market integration. Okay, if you buy the Pixel 7, we'll give you the Pixel Watch. That's good marketing. It gets you into that ecosystem, but they just never did that with Stadia.
They didn't. But
anyway,
we can stop moaning about it after this week, Richie. Our listeners and viewers, we won't mention it anymore. In fact, I might go and play. Is Mafia on Game Pass? I don't know. I don't anymore. Although
we might touch on stuff like Stadia. If there's any big news drops, we might touch on it on CloudQuest.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, even though we're going to sunset this show, Stadia can live on through our other channel outputs for now. But it seems to be that Mafia was not long for this world, just like Google Stadia. I will keep my countdown going. I'll give everyone an update in like 2025 or something when it's been like 2,069 days and since it was teased.
When the new Mafia comes out, and let's say it comes to Game Pass day and date, you'll do a stream of it, and then at that point you'll go, it's been 4,000 days since it was meant to come to Google Stadia.
It'll follow me to the end, that joke. It really will. But you know what? Someone had to beat the drum for Mafia and 2K players out there, but alas, it was not the people who were multi-millionaires. Moving on to other announcements. One of the ones we did want to touch on in this show, it does launch just before Stadia's downfall. Razer, of course, you're familiar with Razer. They make mouses, keyboards, all the RGB shit that us gamers eat up, love so much, Richie. They've announced a new handheld cloud gaming device. So right off the back of the Logitech announcement we had the other week, the Razer's Edge, or Razer Edge, the company's launched, or pre-orders have launched, to finally show off its portable Android gaming handset. It looks a lot better than the last one we saw, which was kind of leaked back in 2021. And with this one, it's going to release with a Wi-Fi version for $399 in January 2023, followed by a 5G ready version in the States through the Verizon cellular provider. Following later that year, it'll support the carrier's ultra-wideband and 6 GHz networks. Razer's this is basically following the Steam Deck's reservation model, so you can pre-order it similar to the Steam Deck. It's meant to be a great device for cloud gaming, streaming through Xbox Cloud Gaming or Nvidia GeForce Now. Razer says that the Edge supports up to 144 frames per second through the Steam Link app when you're streaming PC games locally, and it runs on Android 12 with a Qualcomm G3X Gen 1 chipset. Though instead of being an all-one handheld like the concept shown off months ago, similar to the Logitech G Cloud Gaming one, it's a 6.5-inch tablet now that can be removed from its controller, similar to the Switch. So essentially, it's a little Razer tablet with the Razer Kishi add-ons on the side. Richie, isn't it ironic how Stadia announces its closure just on the cusp of other tech companies finally launching products that would support it in the best possible way in the form of the Logitech G Cloud and now the Razer's Edge? What do you think on this one?
Well, the first thing is, I think the Wi-Fi only model is overpriced because you can get a Steam Deck for the same price. So, and again, it's like, is there any purpose of it if it's the same price as Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck, well, is perfectly capable of playing cloud gaming, can also play games quite well natively, where this is purely focused on cloud gaming. So it seems to be less functional for the same price. The Wi-Fi model, however, is interesting. Not the Wi-Fi, the 5G model. That's what I've been saying, these sort of devices they need for cloud gaming, because you want this as an on-the-go device. Because at home, you have things like Samsung Game Hub, you have Chromecasts, Projekt Keystones is on its way, and it's been teased recently. There's ways of playing or through your Chromebook, or through your laptop, or through your PC. There's lots of ways to play cloud gaming in the home. It's on the go, where your only real way to play cloud gaming is on your phone. That's where I think these devices come into their own.
Absolutely.
So that's why I've always been shouting for they need to be 5G compatible, so you can play them on the go.
Yeah, and again, no surprise there.
Yeah.
It's through the Verizon carrier, because that was one of the things we discussed on CloudQuest with our theoretical Stadia cloud gaming handheld before the bombshell news dropped, was that if you were selling it with cellular data, it would no doubt need to be in partnership with one of the mobile networks, because the requirement of a SIM card or an eSIM to connect via 5G, you need the network's permission to do it, which would also in turn cost some money. So whether there is, by the looks of it, it's the partnership with Verizon, I'm guessing you just get the product through Verizon, and as you alluded to, it just comes with, you've got to imagine unlimited 5G, right? Capping a cloud gaming device seems a bit naive, but they've not really gone into much detail on that front yet.
I can see going forward, like phone providers, even if it's not linked to a specific hardware going, you know what, you get this much data plus cloud gaming. We know doesn't count towards your caps or anything going forward as like a gamer bundle, and maybe we'll throw in a Kishi or something. That's where I thought it could have went. But for me, the device, even if you don't have a deal with the carrier, you can have it compatible with mobile networks. And just have it open so people can just put a SIM card in.
Yeah. I can see it being, because even phones like iPhone in the States has gone eSIM now. So the top range iPhone, it doesn't even have a SIM card slot now. So
or you have a physical SIM card, or you go with eSIM. So if I bought a contract through one of the carriers in the UK, I could just download that SIM card to the device, and there we go.
You're going to get a bucket hat like this guy on the Razer website. It's got a bright green and black Razer branded bucket hat. Interesting enough, what do you think of the design then? Because it's weird. Initially, when I saw the first images release, I thought, you know what, it looks pretty much like we've said, a Switch, but for cloud gaming. And as someone who's been using Game Pass and my Samsung Ultra with my Razer Kishi version 1, it plays great. And I'm back to thinking, oh, you know what, I could play a couple of games. I've been playing some Death's Door on the move. And this kind of like had an initial big amount of appeal to me, but then once I realised it just clipped off and it was just a little tablet, it was like, well, my Kishi and phone combo is in essence the same, like literally the same thing now, because it's no longer really a dedicated handheld thing if it ends up just being a separate Android tablet on top of it.
I mean, one of the advantages of it being separate devices is that you're not using your phone battery and
of course,
phone data, so you can like. Especially if your phone's getting a bit older and you're worried about the battery, you're not hammering your phone all the time. Especially if you're travelling, for example. I mean, look at the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck's took off for them sort of reasons. So portable gaming is very much on its way back. But I don't really mind. I think from their perspective, it probably makes more sense to effectively make a tablet and attach a Kishi, because you've already got the Kishis getting made. So it simplifies your manufacturing.
I mean, it's not just a Kishi attached to it. It is its own thing.
Is it? Is it not just... It could be just a Kishi, you know? Like, it looks like a Gen 2 Kishi.
Surely not.
Well, but I don't think that's a bad thing, because if like, for example, you're hammering it and your stick started drifting and stuff, you could just buy a new Kishi. Or you could just send the Kishi part back. They fix it. Send there you go. So it can make elements of that simpler. Or maybe if they just bring out a Gen 3 Kishi, you could just go, okay, I'm going to upgrade the controller part of it, where the tablet part of it could be absolutely fine. So there's advantages.
Yeah, it's got my intrigue. I think it looks great. I've noticed it's on the triggers as well. It's got 3 triggers, or like back buttons. Yeah, it's got the shoulder buttons, L1, L2, and then it's got 2 little micro buttons as well. I've just clocked that. Okay, which makes me think it might not be a Kishi version 2. Dedicated buttons and such, of course. Oh, there's a Founders Edition as well. We do like a Founders Edition, Richie. Chipset, screen size. I think the biggest thing for me in comparison to the Logitech one, this does come with an AMO LED screen, which is going to look nice. 6.8 inches as well, so that's a big screen as well, which is what you want. Internally, though, externally, it's all pretty much on par by the cellular thing. Same battery capacity, 500 milliamp battery in there. Wi-Fi specs are the same, except for the top end one has that 5G. I'm trying to think what different you get. Oh, okay, so the Founders Edition, you get the So you get the Razer. Oh, wait there. Oh, yeah, it is a Kishi version too. Because when you look at the spec list, the content literally says Razer Edge Wi-Fi, Razer Kishi V2 Pro. Yeah. So I think, yeah, you're completely right. So the Founders Edition, you net yourself the tablet, which is the Razer Edge, the Kishi V2 Pro, the Razer Hammerhead earphones, which are the new ones they've just announced as well. Okay, so yeah, so the Razer's Edge is actually the tablet. They're just bundling it with a Razer Kishi to make it out like it's one solid thing for cloud gaming. Well, we cracked it. We figured it out. Yeah, it does have my intrigue. I just think, again, for what it's doing, the price seems a little bit steep. When, as you said, a Steam Deck, you could get a Steam Deck, and it would have all the internal components. Yeah, they do.
Razer often do overinflate their own price, and this doesn't even have any RGB. I think it's because it's the same price as the base version of the Steam Deck. It makes it a harder sell for me because. Like, I could my thing where if I was going to buy this, I'd be looking at it and go, but I could get the Steam Deck, and it's like then you have that thing is like if I buy this, will I end up with buyer's remorse because I could have had the Steam Deck?
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. Again, it's just that big thing, isn't it? That it's the text coming out as like I do wonder on that key artwork if 2 months prior, or even not a month, like 2 weeks prior, sorry, there was a Stadia logo on there. Like, it does look like they're partnered with Xbox and Steam, to be fair. Like, Razer have got great relationships, but again, I think there's something about like the Xbox green and the Razer green kind of marries up quite nicely. Similar to how we've seen them promote themselves with Samsung and Game Pass promos over the years and Game Pass Ultimate and stuff. But I could see this time next year, going into Christmas 2023, there'll be about 10 plus cloud gaming devices on the market by then. Yeah. Every manufacturer.
For me, it's the 5G version is the one where I think will be of the most interest.
What are the chances, just to kick them while they're down, because we've seen Google doing it all week, and we're going to talk about it later in the news. What are the chances we did that CloudQuest episode about a dedicated Google Stadia handheld or a Google handheld device? What are the chances we genuinely see like a version of this Razer Edge but made by Google in the next year or so?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Google seem to be embracing cloud gaming in a way that they haven't over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Which is like, what the hell? It's kind of statement.
Yeah, because we've said time and time about like R&D has to go, like companies like Google, Amazon, Apple and stuff, and Samsung and Sony, they're always chipping away at R&D for like random prototypes you've never seen. At the time, over the last 3 years, they know cloud gaming works. They know how to do it. We've said that. We've praised the tech time and time again. There's got to be a division of Google somewhere that is trying to launch a new style product, and I think whether it's some form of like Pixel, Chromebook, or what would have been Stadia or Google Cloud as they're trying to promote it now, there's got to be a crossover somewhere, right? Where they're like, well, yeah, we'll do it.
I mean, we'll talk about it more in a bit, but in some ways it feels like now Stadia's out the way, Google can finally go, it's almost like sigh relief, now we can start talking about other cloud gaming platforms and just focus elsewhere.
Yeah.
Where they've probably been restricted because of Stadia, which is shit for Stadia fans. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a bit.
We shall indeed. Next story of the week, we have news that, we brought it to you last week, that Outcasters developer Splash Damage was looking to give it new life, deservedly, on another platform. And unfortunately for Outcasters, it looks like that dream has ended. They put out a tweet on their official channel saying, "Dear Stadians, it is with a heavy heart that we inform you that we do not have plans to bring Outcasters to another platform at this time. Outcasters was designed and built exclusively for Stadia, with many of its systems heavily relying on the platform, significantly increasing the complexity of the work required. We still firmly believe that cloud gaming has a bright future in our industry, providing easier access to games than ever before, and we are encouraged to see that other platforms still champion this cause. As our final thank you to all of you that supported us, we've put together a short video showing a rare behind-the-scenes look at the various stages of development of Outcasters from its humble beginnings to today. Thank you, Splash Damage." And that was sent out in a tweet. So that was the update. So they gave us a bit of hope last week, Richie. It does, in fact, look like it'll be one of them that goes to the Google graveyard along with Stadia, unfortunately.
Yeah. However, you never know. We might get an Outcasters too.
Depends who has
the rights. That might be the smart... Yeah. I mean, if Google have the rights, I'm sure they can probably be able to get them back somehow. Google have been shown to be quite lenient with stuff like that, but yeah, if we could, I mean, if they brought an Outcasters 2, brought it to other platforms like PlayStation, Switch, I think this could do really well on Switch, actually.
I think it could do
Switch,
really well everywhere.
Xbox, especially if it's a Game Pass or a Pro game, so people are just going to give it that time, jump in.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the only real problem we had with Outcasters is the amount of content. If we always felt like this is a game that needs to be regular content drops, like season passes, to really expand on it, on the premise, because the premise is awesome.
Yeah,
and it's really fun. So it's sad to see it go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is probably the best. I'd imagine we know when Splash Damage kind of teamed up with them right at one of the announcements back in 2020. We knew we didn't know what we were going to expect, but we thought, these guys worked on the Gears of War, Batman. There's some like big shoes there essentially to fill, and then we got this like kind of little indie darling game came out instead that had a little element of like battle royale to it, mixed in with what we can say now is like Fall Guys, not inspired, but you know what I mean, like in a similar vein.
It had that thing where it's like this kind of like online multiplayer, like arena based game that is like party game, but it's effectively a shooter, but has that its own unique play style, like with the way you can curve your bullets and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like that is it's a simple concept, but it's a really cool one.
Yeah, and with the little Outcaster characters and the kind of quirky comedy that came with it a little bit, it seemed like it would have gone on to other things, and very quickly it felt like it never got much more love beyond the initial launch. Yeah,
if you look, I kind of think put this in the category of something like a Fall Guys, where if it got that regular content update, it could. Unfortunately, Google Stadia, it seems like regardless, Google Stadia dying will have killed the game anyway, because it seems to be too heavily linked in terms of how it functions to the platform. But again, I hope Splash Damage look at this and go, you know what, we're going to make it 2. We're going to bring it over platforms because we're going to build on the concepts we had, and let's give it another shot.
Yeah. I think they could, because we said time and time again, like new maps and modes was something that was definitely missing. After you've played kind of the deathmatch or the collect the coins, it just kind of hit this wall where after a few games you thought, okay, I've seen everything there is to see now. And then we cried out for like seasonal content, like Halloween costumes and Christmas costumes with daft little hats and turkey heads and everything, and it just never came. And we think that's probably down to Splash Damage had a contract to put out a game, and then the returns and the agreement from Google were probably to support it ongoing, but then there was never that, I guess, user base, right? That was one of the biggest problems, is there was never that demand or the amount of people playing it to merit the research and development and time, realistically. Whereas we said time and time again, if this went PlayStation Plus, day one, whatever the successor looks like, or Xbox Game Pass, you'd get millions of people at least checking it out, and then the season pass, like Fall Guys, would keep it ticking over with
and then you start doing like the Fortnite thing where you start getting cross-pollination with other franchises.
Little like, Batman characters chasing Iron Man characters and that, and who knows. But it's a shame. It's a shame for Outcasters. Of course, you've got till January the 18th to play it, and shout out to the devs for all the work that they put into it.
I think we're going to have to play it again one more time before we say goodbye, because it is fun.
It is. Well, we played it on last year's second birthday party for Stadia with it being an exclusive, so who knows. But we know we're getting guilt. It's important to multi-platform. We covered that last week, so one more thing. And kind of to move that story on then, I guess, to ongoing service, we've discussed pro games and what's going to happen with that. We're discussing kind of the support going forward. This week, EA Sports, FIFA, tweeted out their updates for the game. Title Update 2 will be soon available for PS5, Series XS, PC, and Stadia versions of FIFA 23. And when I read that tweet, it kind of made me think, obviously I missed out. We both missed out on FIFA 23 because we didn't pre-order or you cancelled your pre-order. I didn't pre-order the deluxe edition. So when the Friday came and the storefront was shut, I couldn't buy it. I would have bought Stadia because I love playing it on my Razer Kishi. Now, I was saying to you pre-show, actually, I've got FIFA 23 on my Xbox. Haven't started it yet because I just don't have that. Because I can no longer just take it and play a quick little game here and there on my Kishi and my phone. It almost has lost a little bit of its appeal to me this season, which is an odd thing to say because the game's still great, no doubt. But you know what you mean? You just missed that little bit of magic that I got from the combination of Stadia and portability.
Yeah, this is why I'm going to buy out my Xbox. It's why I've actually returned my PS5 version of the game because I had it on pre-ordered in Stadia, but with Stadia closing down, it's like I don't want to play till January, then lose all of my saves and all the progress and all that sort of stuff. I don't care about Ultimate Team, but it's my career mode.
Yeah, of course.
And so I was like, okay, Stadia's not going to see me out the air. It doesn't make sense for me to have it on Stadia. So that's why I cancelled. So I bought it on PlayStation instead. And then I made the decision to buy an Xbox, and it's like, actually, I think I prefer have it on Xbox because one, my Xbox is up here in my office when PS5's downstairs. So and FIFA's one of them games I like to jump in for like a couple of games here and there. Usually while I've got a podcast or other stuff going on, and it's better. I just find it better to do it here than downstairs. So it's just like, and then there's also the cloud component. Like if I get the digital copy on Xbox. We know Xbox is adding functionality so you can play the games that you've bought into the cloud.
Yeah, I just want FIFA on my quiche again, really. I do hope with the initial... Of course, EA Play is part of Game Pass, so, well, to some degree. You don't get, like, day one games, day one yet, anywhere. Yeah. But for me, the more interesting thing was, do EA know Stadia's closing down? With this update? Like, again, this kind of opened up the thought process for me, thinking, like, what ongoing games... It's still like because they did say in the initial FAQ like some games will stop functioning or working properly as we start to wind down, and I'm waiting to see what that big game breaking thing is where they just go, we're done, we're out. Obviously the FIFA one, EA have enough money to support it. Some smaller titles maybe start going offline, and that led me to thinking onto other titles. Resident Evil Village, the winter expansion is due this month. Almost a week from today. We were going to do a playthrough on the channel in third person mode and check out the DLC. Do we think that still arrives next week, Richie?
I have no idea.
Because it was going to be the gold edition, right? The DLC was gold edition. We can't buy stuff, so I don't think we can physically get the winter's expansion now.
Oh, right. That's a good point. I can't remember what version I have.
Although
I don't know whether...
Sorry, so the Rose's story... is additional. I think you have to pay extra for that. But the Winter's expansion is just a patch for the game, I think, right? Because you've already bought the game, so playing it in third person shouldn't be any more money. Capcom aren't usually that dodgy with their microtransaction stuff.
I'd imagine the Winter's update would come, but maybe the Rose stuff doesn't because the storefront doesn't exist. So, because if it's a patch and like it depends whether Capcom just look at it and go, it's not worth the effort now.
Well, that's my worry, but then...
Or are they going to be good guys out and go, you know what, people bought the game here, we're going to support them.
I mean, we have ReVerse, Richie. Well, we may never play ReVerse on Stadia, which we've been going on about for 2 years now.
The thing is, actually, I think more devs than not are going to continue to support Stadia right to the end just because they don't want to end up in accidental legal trouble. If they've signed contracts, they'll support it. It's like, while Stadia exists, we'll support it because that is legally what we have to do.
Well, who's going to chase them if Google don't give a shit? Like, Google aren't going to sue them because they're done. They're refunding everyone.
I doubt any lawsuit will come, but it's like... But if you're like...
the Outcasters guys.
But if you're the legal team for like EA or like Capcom, it's like you're probably not going to want to take any risks, really, are you? Just keep bringing the patches until we can't put them on there anymore.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. It's one of the things I've not really considered about game save files because I feel like I've accepted it, but then there is moments where I go, oh crap, yeah, I'm going to lose that. So like my Cyberpunk save file, that's gone. Well, we'll get to it later in the news actually, but I'm not doing that. My Resident Evil, I've got a full village playthrough, which we did on stream. Like that's gone. So it's like, don't want to play it again somewhere else and start. And this is kind of with the expansion. I was looking to still get into it for Halloween. Like I'm still happy to check it out, but I don't know if I'm going to have the means to do it without having to buy the game all over again. So do let us know in the comments below, everyone. Do you think we'll be seeing Resident Evil Village's DLC expansion? Do you think we'll just see the Rose expansion? Do you think we'll see the Winter's content? Third person? Let us know in the comments below. Any big games that we were also expecting updates for? I think Destiny's not until early next year for their final one. Ubisoft, the Valhalla one? Eivor's final story is due in, November, I think. I think that'll get support. I think Ubisoft are pretty much happy to see out their updates. They're pretty on point with it.
I'm not. Ubisoft are one of them ones though, because of Ubisoft Connect.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of entwined into that.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to lose any progression here. So, you got with Ubisoft Plus, it's like and the potential refund we're getting from Stadia.
Yeah,
it's like okay, I could buy a Ubisoft game on my new preferred platform, and just transfer my save files over and just continue where I left off, just with a different controller in my hand. So Ubisoft is a weird use case because of Ubisoft Connect. But, yeah.
What else is there? Not really. I mean, we're talking. We mentioned FIFA at the top there. The FIFA World Cup story leaked this week. They actually showed off some gameplay of the Qatar World Cup that's happening this December. So I guess the World Cup update. But by the looks of it, EA are keeping on top of patches and such. So
yeah,
that should be coming. But we don't have a chance to play it anyway. It's such an odd place we find ourselves in with something closing down, but there's a lot of content that is almost like a games as a service ticking over within that ecosystem. Who knows? But speaking of football, I mentioned it at the top of the show. Google Stadia is no more, but maybe a Google Stadia can be some more, Richie, because reporting from PC Gamer this week and a bunch of weirdly enough sports websites, Google Stadia are in advanced conversations with English Premier League side Tottenham Hotspur FC for a potential mega money deal that will see the London's new stadium, or formerly known as White Hart Lane, or currently known as White Hart. It's still White Hart Lane, right? They rebuilt on top of it, didn't they? Over
I think they technically rotated the pitch, but still.
And the new, obviously, the stadium. If you've not seen it, it's phenomenal. There's a good couple of videos on the internet of it. It's state of the art.
I think it's arguably one of the best football stadiums in the entire world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. For those who haven't seen it, it's essentially it's got two pitches. One of them's an NFL pitch because Spurs are heavily aligned with the NFL showcase games that go on for American football. And yeah, the pitch essentially splits into three and it gets tucked away into a car park. There's a great video on YouTube. You should go watch it. It's Richard Hammond, actually, from Top Gear and the Grand Tour, who goes on and he gets to drive the pitch. So it's separated, Richie, into three pieces, and they have little motorized wheels, and you drive it with a little gear stick under into what is the multi-story car park for match day, and it's under like special LED sun lamps and everything to keep the pitch going, and then up from beneath rises essentially an artificial NFL one, and then they can just basically switch out the whole stadium for a completely different spot without having to do that horrible painting over the lines. You don't really see it in the Premier League, but I watch MLS because my MLS team is New York City FC, and they still play at the Yankee Stadium. Somehow they've existed for 6-7 years now as a professional team, and they do not have their own stadium. Partially
Stadiums are expensive,
especially in New York, of all places. Getting the land in New York is not cheap. However, it bugs me that the pitch is painted over the top of the baseball pitch, and anyone who knows the shape of a baseball field, it's a bit weird in comparison. So you've got this weird, like, right chunk of where the corner flag would be. The field just continues on for what would be like first base and the batter's squad and everything. It's weird. But back to this story. Google, they're not in on Stadia, they're in on stadiums. So they're looking for naming rights for the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, looking to estimate total around $1 billion. So how, Richie, pray tell, does Google open up a checkbook and drop $1 billion on naming a stadium, but they wouldn't spend that much money on Stadia? Kick 'em while they're down.
I don't know. It's hard to understand marketing sometimes, because this is $1 billion to name for a stadium, but you're already a company that is completely ubiquitous to how the world operates. So it's like, how much more mindshare do you as Google need? How is the return going to be for this? Because you don't drop $1 billion. Yeah, you don't drop $1 billion on something without expecting to get more than $1 billion back further down the line.
It's weird,
so
isn't
how
it?
does this? Yeah, I mean, I don't really, and this is where I'd love to have Rob on this because he knows more about this stuff than we do. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, it shows they've got the money. They could have invested the money in Stadia.
Well, that's the big ironic thing. So yeah, we know there's a lot of money in sports. No one watches the Premier League, richest league in the world of football.
You know what they should have done? Instead of this being a Google branded stadium, it should have been a Stadia branded stadium.
A Stadia stadium. Could you imagine the most connected?
To be fair, what this is effectively, I suppose, free advertising revenue. Well, it's not free; it's costing them $1 billion, but it means that all their new product launches they can just plaster all over the stadium.
Oh well, that's the thing. Yeah, with the naming rights, we saw with Mike Ashley Newcastle, he tried to rename the whole thing the Sports Direct Stadium, which
he did it.
He did do it. Yeah, even though no one ever actually acknowledged it in the city. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. Yeah, obviously Google are not short of cash. It says in the article, Google branding will appear predominantly in the building and in broadcast for the Premier League. So I guess that's kind of the thing at the moment. Sony and PlayStation kind of have the locked. I associate PlayStation with the Champions League because it's for 10 plus years now. It's been plastered on the side. And I actually get a little chuckle if you go back and see like highlight clips from older games. There's like PlayStation 2 on the boards, and it's like, oh man, they've been tagged to it for so long. And you do get that association. We said right at the beginning of the show, marketing or lack thereof, how interesting it is. But
I mean, you go back to St James's Park when that was a Sports Direct arena. Every single time, so a member of the press referenced it. They had to, by law, they had to reference it by its actual name, which was the Sports Direct arena.
Yeah.
So you're getting that, but I think it's Sports Direct and Google are operating on very different scales.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, you've got Premier League games, Champions League games, with Spurs are in the Champions League. Obviously, they do concerts, they do the NFL stuff, which I guess is probably why they're more looking at Tottenham, because the NFL ties. Google, big American corporation, NFL, biggest sports in the States. It makes sense to tie them up. They host boxing matches, rugby, they do concerts there as well. So the stadium's not just about the football, which is kind of why they rebuilt it in specifically for these different purposes to increase that revenue stream out of the game season. And sports sponsorships, of course, are not a new thing for Google. Pardon me. They've in the past have sponsored NBA, MLB, Formula One and stuff over the years, but it's a lot of money to drop, and I think it is the irony in Stadia being shuttered, and it just makes me...
The timing is...
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Along with all the other news of the Razer stuff and the cloud, and there's another story that we're going to get onto next. It just makes me think, could this $1 billion, imagine if that was pumped into Stadia for getting games. We said they got Resident Evil 7 and Village for 10 million. What would $1 billion get you? How many AAA games could they have paid to port across and thicken out that library with quality titles?
There's stuff they could have done with this sort. Like, even if they go, okay, we'll drop $1 billion to sponsor Tottenham. So you're going to have Google branding all of the stadium. You could have used that to advertise Stadia. You could have done a marketing campaign where you have Harry Kane playing FIFA on Stadia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's stuff you could have done there. Like,
I mean, this week Harry Kane's reading books to kids on CBBS. Yeah. So he's doing stuff. But yeah, it's just... And again, we are well aware of the business lens of this. The budget paid for marketing sponsorships like this one is not just pulled from the same pot. They all have the finances allocated at the 10 of the financial year, and this will be ring fenced for promotional stuff, and it's probably been years in the making. So I'm well aware it's not just a case of Stadia's closed, give the money elsewhere. That's not how business and companies on this scale operate. But it is annoying and ironic to look at it and go, couldn't have shaved off a couple $100 million of that and just put it into one of your other projects that a lot of people were hoping would succeed.
I think that with Google, they operate each like fork of their business as its own independent business. So they'll probably basically give like here's your startup cash from Big Alphabet.
Yeah.
But then after that goes, you kind of figure it out yourself, and I think that's why you end up with so much stuff in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Because if things need that longer term investment to kind of really get going, or sometimes just poorly thought out, when the money dries up, that's it. I wonder if this is what's happened to Stadia, where it wasn't generating enough money for it to be sustained, and then the tap got just cut off.
Yeah, really did. Pivoting on, though, to something also new and ironic, on top of the Stadium news, Chromebooks. We know Chromebooks are a thing. They've been a thing for a while, and for a while they've been promoting them alongside Stadia. No longer. Google just announced... 3 new Chromebooks in partnership with their good friends over at Acer, and Lenovo. They've done a little marketing push and campaign. And yeah, Richie, the final nail is about to be driven in Stadia's coffin, but Google have turned around and announced some new devices that are designed for cloud gaming. And announced to the press this week, Google said it still sees cloud gaming as a huge profit driver for the company. And even though Stadia's on its way out, Google have got great partnerships with these companies, boasting high specs for Chromebook, including refresh rates up to 144 Hz and optimized for streaming using the power of decent Wi-Fi cards. Here we go. You know what the thing I hate the most about all of this marketing campaign? The adverts, because they use the Google font, Product Sans, and they're showing things like Cyberpunk in the video, and the tiles they use to promote the games. It looks like everything Stadia in everything but name. And they have the audacity to promote it with images that don't use a Stadia controller, just a generic Mad Catz controller. And it's just like, again, talk about kicking yourself while you're down, right? I mean, these Chromebooks look great. Chromebook's a Chromebook. They're never going to be boasting the highest tech specs. But if you want some cool top-level features and you want a cloud game on the go, this advert promotes GeForce Now, Richie.
I know.
Just to drive home that.
Actually, on the Chromebook page on Google, it actually has a Stadia logo in there still.
I mean, technically, it does work until January the 18th.
Yeah, it's just one of them. It's like, it's when they're doubling down. It's like, no, we believe cloud gaming is the future. It's like, then why did you get rid of Stadia? Why didn't you invest in it? Why didn't you push that forward? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, now you're advertising. You could have had a bigger thing of the pie. Like, yeah, you have it running like GeForce Now. You have it running xCloud and whatnot. But on all your marketing, you kind of have it running Stadia, and it's just like, come on, guys. Like,
yeah,
it feels every time they say, "Oh, we think cloud gaming's the future." It feels like another kick in the teeth to fans of Google who invested money and time into Stadia to play games there and had a great time with it. It's like,
absolutely. They just flung in the towel, and again, one of the most ironic things, if you look at so IGN, of course, put an article out, barely covered Stadia for the last 3 years, but here we are. Google's ambitions to make gaming-focused Chromebooks are now coming to fruition. In a new press release, Google announced that they partner with Asus and Lenovo to make these gaming-focused Chromebooks designed for cloud gaming subscription services like NVIDIA GeForce Now and Xbox Cloud Gaming. And the picture is the 3 Chromebooks. One on the left, Deathloop, with an Xbox logo. The one in the middle, Witcher 3, with the GeForce Now logo. The one on the right, Control Ultimate Edition, with the Amazon Luna logo. You've launched 3 new products, and you are literally promoting the runners left in the race after you fell over and dropped out. And there is just something like bitterly painful about it, where it's like, where were these promotions? And like, I'd love to know if these assets had Stadia stripped out of them front and center, like in the last week or so, because we know a lot of the staff and the team didn't know about it. At least they got round to pulling Stadia from the artwork, I guess, because it would have been ironic if they promote these Chromebooks still with Stadia in, I guess, all things said and done.
I'd be very surprised if like someone at Google who was working on the Chromebook team hadn't put time and effort into making Stadia versions of it, all the assets that we've seen. Mm-hmm. I mean, imagine a team like Google they're not just going, here's one asset, we'll push that. They'll make probably lots of different variants, and then marketing will go, that's the one, we're going to go for that one.
Yeah. I mean, the articles in particular, there was one from VentureBeat about Google's new supported cloud gaming laptops, and guess who tweeted out of that? Amazon Luna's official account. Thinking about they actually tagged Google Chromebook. That choice just got easier. Get 3 months of Amazon Luna Plus with the new Chromebooks.
This is what I was saying earlier. It feels like Google have now, because Stadia is now out of the way, that they can now double down on cloud gaming. But it's like, you could have just done it yourself. Yeah. You were doing it yourself.
They're no longer beholden.
What you needed to do is get better games on the platform, give it more frequent drops of AAA games, and show actual Google level commitment to the project. All them things were missing, and you basically didn't sell it to people, which meant that why would anyone jump in on it?
Well,
so I don't know.
It's a crazy one. Either way, moving on a little bit, we've got an update on some games that are still hanging around in the Stadia world. We have Necrosoft, the people who put out Gunsport on Stadia. Of course, it was a pro game way back when. I think it was 2020. Gunsport one is a pro game. It was one of the first early ones. For our friends at Google Stadia, an update about the original Stadia exclusive Gunsport. Long story short, they're going to try and bring the game to Steam along with the new Hyper Gunsport for free. We'll update us more as the updates go through. So over on the official Twitter page, Hyper Gunsport is essentially the super turbo version of Gunsport. So it essentially makes the original game redundant. The developers have said themselves the Hyper Gunsport is kind of the ultimate way to play this game. And it was exclusive on Stadia, but they're looking at bringing it across to Steam. And I guess we'll just keep tabs on this one. I've never actually played Gunsport still. It was one of them pro games that just fell into my library and I never really thought about.
Yeah, same. It's one of the ones I just missed when it came out, and then we never went back to it. But I wish them luck.
Yeah, absolutely. You want it to keep going. Over on Reddit, this again, just to clarify, they said Gunsport was a Stadia exclusive. We don't want it to die with the platform, so we are planning on packaging the original game in a branch of our Hyper Gunsport Steam release. So anyone who gets Hyper Gunsport will also get the original game. So there you go. Head over to Steam, support Necrosoft. I do know it's a fun game, and it's essentially just volleyball with guns. Is the best way I can describe it. But again, it's nice to see it's going to get an ongoing life. And then next up, we have an update from Projekt Z. Now, those will remember Projekt Z. We covered it quite a few times on the show. It had a Kickstarter running, and one of the Kickstarter things was for Google Stadia. They were looking for developers. I think we pushed them in the way of the Stadia Makers program back in the day. It's a zombie shooter set in World War II times. 314 Arts, and they're delighted this week to announce that they've partnered with Modus Games as a publisher. So they found their publisher, Richie, after going back and forth with Kickstarter stuff. They actually pulled the Kickstarter, if I remember rightly. I think they had a Kickstarter, and then after so many weeks of it, the plug got pulled because they said they're in discussions with other partners. So it turns out that was in fact Modus Games. So always better, I feel like, to go through official channels than a Kickstarter if you're a developer company. You're getting certain reassurances that come with going through them. So Projekt Z coming to PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox X and S. Wouldn't surprise me if it's a Game Pass game, if I'm honest.
No, me either. Modus, it's ironic that Modus is actually one of the biggest supporters of Stadia. If you look through their list of games, most of them, there's a good chunk of them that did come Stadia. Yeah,
absolutely. Nice to see. And hopefully we see the Projekt Z come to life somewhere else. One thing that has been delayed, we've actually covered it quite a lot on the channel. Humankind was due its console release, and it's been delayed indefinitely. So the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S versions of the game have been pushed back until further notice due to some unique challenges. The console versions in development at Amplitude Studios and Aspire, who were the ones who have just been pulled off the Knights of the Old Republic remake. So maybe that's caused some problems. Humankind, we've kind of got an on and off relationship with them, Richie, because obviously if you were looking to play it on Stadia and then you wanted to move over to console, it looks like you might have to wait a little bit longer to do such a thing. But they've had a bit of a murky kind of post-launch on Stadia with the DLC not coming and patches not being up to date. And now it looks like they're struggling to get the game out over on console. What do we think the reason behind it? Do you think it's just too much work, or do you think the studio's not big enough? Or because it seems to be like every other couple of months I read an article about Humankind that's just not positive.
I don't know, because we know the fact that it was on Stadia means that they had schemes working so you could use controller support. Mm-hmm. So the traditional thoughts for me in this sort of like grand strategy game, where it's like very much better played mouse and keyboard. Mm-hmm. That doesn't really apply because they've already figured that out for Stadia. So I really don't know. Maybe it's just not up to... Maybe that is just not up to the standards of like PlayStation and Xbox or something. I really don't know.
Yeah, like certification or something. Of course, the first major expansion, the Together We Rule, was due to come out... Or it's still set for release, on November the 9th. So they're about just under a month away from their first big expansion. So the way I read read it looking from the outside in, it just looks like they've maybe took on too many things at once with updates, expansions, and console ports, and they've just obviously not able to hit the time frame for the release date. So who knows? But like you said, the Stadia version would have been ideally the console version you'd use because of the controller support. Maybe Stadia closing has impacted it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
What if Google just go, servers are closed, and they go, we were going to use that version as our base for the consoles?
Yeah, it seems unlikely because I always got the impression that Stadia was a secondary fault for them after release.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because we had stuff that was we've had expansions that were initially delayed or patches came later than on PC.
Uh-huh.
But so I really don't know. Like, I mean, I hope they figure it out. But I mean, you can still play this game on PC. I think it might be on PC Game Pass as well. I'm not sure on that one. I hope it is because it means I still have access to the game.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Who knows what happens with save files and everything though.
I don't have enough saves to care about that.
And the last few stories of the week, then rounding out the show. Cyberpunk 2077, there's been an update from CD Projekt Red regarding the official transfer method. So CD Projekt Red has released an official save file transfer method for Cyberpunk 2077 for players on Stadia. As with the below workout discussed, of course some players a couple of weeks ago figured out how you could do it, but now CD Projekt have put out the full instructions over on their website. It's lost somewhere in the FAQs and technical installation save options. Essentially, it's kind of what I think most people have thought to do on most other titles, which is open the takeout.google.com, create an export of your Stadia information, essentially, and then port it over to the PC version of the game using a file extraction tool. Any interest in doing this for yourself, Richie? You're the one person I know who actually finished Cyberpunk through its entirety, so where do you sit on this?
No, because I already have my takeout stuff. I just took, as soon as I realised I could do that, I just got all my save, I got everything anyway. But if I was to go back and play Cyberpunk now, I'd be wanting to start fresh. Because I've been when you're too far removed, it's like, I find it, I mean, again, I also roll credits, so I find it weird to go back to jump after like 2 years to jump back into a character that like I've left behind a long time ago. So I'd want to restart, so it's there. I have the option if I choose to, but I'd be unlikely to use it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Shout out to all of the characters in video games that just at one time or another just get left.
Yeah.
Left by a campfire, saving a file, and then they never see the light of day on a TV screen ever again. Bless them. Little do they know.
So many.
It's either Wreck-It Ralph or Ready Player One, where they just, if they were sentient, they're like, Chris will be back. He'll be back. We've spent 140 hours in this game. It's been fantastic. We've scoured the world, collected everything, and then he's saving the game. Cool, and then nothing.
Oh, well, that's the ones where when you're getting into a game, then you go on holiday for a fortnight, and you come back and you're just like, I'm just done with that game. You've moved on emotionally. You're like, you just leave them like halfway through the campaign. We were going to save the world.
Nope. Yeah.
Nope. This is it.
It's quite sad, really. I mean, obviously they're not real, but I'm sure in some Matrix world, they're out there.
The metaverse.
In the metaverse, yeah. Shout out to all them characters and NPCs who are just living their best life with the lights off right now. Speaking of lights off, Richie, that brings us to an end of episode 160 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. And I guess the Sounds of Stadia podcast in its entirety, which is, it's weird. It's one that we hope never to say. When we started this, episode 1, you, me, and Tom got together to talk about this new fledgling cloud gaming service, this platform. From the powers of Google, with all of the money that they had and their expertise in technology and cloud infrastructure, little did we know they would fuck it up in less than 3 years' time and leave us with a channel, thankfully, dedicated to cloud gaming as a whole and not just Google Stadia. But I think one thing to say is that we've learnt a lot over the last 3 years with emerging technologies and cloud gaming. It's definitely changed the way I approach video games as a newly, obviously, a content creator now and a gamer full stop beforehand. It's shown me many experiences with the use of Stadia Pro that I never I never would have played before. There's so many genres and titles that I've dabbled in and had a great time. And I think the one thing I'll always take away from this show is the community that it's helped us build around it. Like, we were a Stadia dedicated channel for 2+ years, until we felt the need. We were doing well enough to branch out into other things that we had interest in, and we've met wonderful people along the way. We've had so many laughs. I think making the 3-year anniversary video and looking back at how many times in them clips you, me, Tom, all of our guests across the years were just having a proper like laugh out loud chuckle. I don't know what it was about half the time, but it was a great laugh. And after 160 weeks consistently, we can turn the lights off at SOS Studios. Anything you'd like to say to the viewers and listeners out there before you start balling it?
I don't know. I am feeling a bit emotional, to be honest. Thank you for watching, basically, and we're not, as we've said many times, we're going to keep iterating. We're not going anywhere. Hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be launching XPass. It's kind of onwards and upwards, and I think for Stadia as well. I think for me, it's proven cloud gaming is the future.
Yeah.
Stadia may have failed ultimately, but anyone who's been playing Stadia for the last 3 years knows that the potential of cloud gaming, and it just feels like cloud gaming's just getting started. And I think the legacy of Stadia will be in like xCloud, it will be in GeForce Now, it will be in PlayStation Plus, etc. It'll be in Amazon Luna going forward. And in Helix Cloud Games, because again, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Unlike Stadia, we'll commit to something for longer than 3 years. And we've had great adventures, and we'll have many more to come. So just to reiterate, the podcast, if you're listening to this on a Monday on audio feeds or youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, we're not going anywhere. The channel's still here. We've got...
Don't unsub from your audio feeds either, because this feed will get changed into XPass.
Yes, that's true. If you're listening on audio feeds, we're going to just reiterate and evolve the show. But yeah, there's nothing more to be said. The news has trickled out. We'll probably do some kind of special event on 17th, 18th of January next year to celebrate, but it's kind of just naturally the end of the road.
I'd like us to do one more sound as a one-off Sounds of Stadia, like to properly say goodbye before the servers go off.
Yeah, indeed. We'll probably do it live as well.
Yeah.
So we can enjoy it with you, the wonderful folks who support us out there. Just like our Helix heroes do, of course, the wonderful 50+ of you who joined us on this adventure, and you continue to join us into the world of xCloud, PlayStation, and everything else up there in the fluffy digital clouds. You can join below, support the channel by clicking join. You can like, you can subscribe, you can follow us on all social feeds at Helix Cloud Games, and join us on our adventure to see where we go next. But that's been it for Sounds of Stadia. Not even going to say the episode number, because it's just Sounds of Stadia. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
We've been Helix Cloud Games. Thank you for watching. And remember, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. Take care. Have a great week. We'll see you on the other shows. Goodbye.
Bye.